Hey guys, let's get more news, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. The Pittsburgh Steelers seem to get more questions than answers during their OTA process. There are plenty of roster holes still lurking for this club as they get ready for minicamp, which starts June 10th. Following that, they will prepare for training camp, where they hope to galvanize their team. OTAs are a good time to see where players are in terms of conditioning, but they can also provide hope. Most of Pittsburgh's roster remains incomplete. Aaron Rodgers will officially join the team any day after he informed them of his intent to sign. While the team will primarily seek internal solutions for other roster concerns, external options could be necessary. Nothing is set in stone for which players will make the final 53-man roster, but there are clues to consider when making a list of their likeliest outcome. Expect Aaron Rodgers to have immediate impact on Pittsburgh Steelers' 53-man roster. Quarterback 3 Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard. All signs point to Rodgers being the starter for the Steelers, which will lock him into place on the roster. Mason Rudolph is a great soldier for this franchise, and he will be an adequate backup behind an aging veteran. Will Howard showed signs of struggle at OTAs, but he should get better as the process continues. Unless Rodgers has an extreme decline this preseason, these will be their 3 quarterbacks. Running back for Jaylen Warren, Caleb Johnson, Kenneth Gainwell, DJ Thomas Jones, FB. Tomlin makes his first tough decision by letting Cordarrelle Patterson go. There will be competition between him and Kenneth Gainwell, but the first-year Steeler will have an easier path to make the team than Patterson. The top 2 running backs on the roster are evident. DJ Thomas Jones makes the team as their fullback, which should be thrilling for offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. Read more. Steelers fans shouldn't panic yet about Aaron Rodgers' OTA absence. Wide receiver 6 DK Metcalf, Gabe Davis, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin 3, Robert Woods, Rock Taylor. Unless Roman Wilson or Calvin Austin 3 blows everyone away at training camp, it appears the Steelers will add a veteran starting at some point. Gabe Davis is still out there and spent time in Pittsburgh on an official visit as a free agent. He can help provide starting caliber snaps at the receiver position. Rock Taylor is the surprise receiver who cracks the roster. He has the perfect size to be a solid special teams contributor. Tight end 3 Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Marcedes Lewis. It's a sleeper position where an upgrade could show up during final roster cuts. The Steelers have their top 2 tight ends who will make the 53-man roster. The final spot is up for grabs, but the injury to Donald Parham Jr. makes things interesting. It wouldn't surprise anyone if the Steelers signed Rodgers' close friend Marcedes Lewis to join the roster as a reliable veteran presence. Offensive line 8 Broderick Jones, Isaac Simolo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Troy Fatanu, Calvin Anderson, Ryan McCullum, Spencer Anderson. Tomlin would be playing with fire if he only kept 8 offensive linemen on the final roster. They have their starters in place, but at least 2 of them are unproven. Mix that uncertainty with depth options that leave more to be desired, and it could get ugly if the worst-case scenario happens. Pittsburgh needs its starting offensive line to stay healthy and take a step forward this season. Defensive line 7 Cam Hayward, Derek Harmon, Keanu Benton, Dean Lowry, Yahya Black, Daniel Equaly, Isaiah Loudermilk. It's a revamped group of players along the defensive line for Pittsburgh. They spent most of the offseason infusing new pieces into the trenches, which provided a youth movement. There are plenty of quality players who will be competing for jobs, which makes it hard to envision the club keeping fewer than 7 players. Keep this area of the roster circled because some notable players will get cut. Edge 4 TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, Jack Sawyer. No area on the 53-man roster is more evident than their outside linebacker position. The edge rushers will have these 4 on the team, barring injuries. The Steelers will keep 4 at the position. It might be one of the deepest groups on the team. Let's hope their star edge rushers can stay healthy and the young players behind them excel in their limited roles. Linebacker 5 Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Malik Harrison, Cole Holcomb, Carson Bruner. Pittsburgh's group of inside linebackers could be interesting come training camp. There are players on the team who will make the roster and others who are question marks. Cole Holcomb is back, but he must work his way back onto the roster after a brutal injury. Carson Bruner makes the team in this scenario, but he will only make the club if he can produce great results on special teams. Cornerback 6 Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, Corey Trice, Brandon Eccles, Beanie Bishop, James Pierre. Tomlin goes with quantity over proven players in this roster prediction. The starters are crystal clear after OTAs. The problems at slot cornerback haven't been focused on enough, but it seems like Beanie Bishop will have a shot at retaining his title. The only surprise on this list is James Pierre, who fans are tired of seeing, but he remains one of their best special teamers. Safety for Minkah Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Elliott, Juan Thornhill, Miles Killebrew. The Steelers kept Sebastian Castro off this 53-man roster prediction. The undrafted safety has a shot at making the club, but he must find a way to sneak into the slot cornerback competition. If Tomlin decides to keep 4, the choice is easy to make. Aaron Rodgers has finally made his move. And now some think the Pittsburgh Steelers are about to make another one. If the Steelers really are exploring the idea of adding a star receiver to play alongside DK Metcalf and to replace George Pickens, good for them. But there are some ideas that seem viable. And there are other ideas that seem like internet fantasies. The latest? The rumor about the Washington Commanders and Terry McLaurin with a Steelers mention, fueled now in 3 different ways. Stephen A. Watch more. 1. Because the Steelers have that need. 2. Because Rodgers is a Steeler and so it's time to load up for a big playoff run. And 3. Because McLaurin is presently in a contract dispute in Washington. What keeps this from happening? That comes down to one thing. McLaurin is as key as anybody on that roster this side of Jaden Daniels in DC's plan on making a Super Bowl run. That's why the Commanders and star receiver McLaurin, who have been talking since March about a contract extension that has gotten nowhere, causing the wideout to leave OTAs in frustration, almost certainly won't consider a trade. The Steelers are loading up. What do you think the Commanders are doing? One Steelers site is pushing for the idea of a McLaurin trade, calling it a sneaky move. But we simply don't see it from a Washington perspective. McLaurin is one of the league's most consistently fine receivers, as he has totaled over 1,000 yards in the last 5 seasons, including a 1,096-yard number from 2024 that included 82 catches and 13 touchdowns. The vision of him continuing to hook up with Daniels, maybe for the rest of his career, is the Washington ideal. Even though suddenly, Pittsburgh has visions of a Rodgers to McLaurin pairing. The Steelers have made 4 trades this offseason, each bringing in players who could make an immediate difference in the starting lineup. The headliner of the trades was Dallas sending draft picks to the Pittsburgh Steelers for electrifying wide receiver George Pickens. This trade builds a dangerous passing attack with quarterback Dak Prescott and all-pro wide receiver CeeDee Lamb that could rival the NFL's best defensive trios. The Steelers are expected to wrap up their high-profile free agency moves and enter training camp with what they have, but that doesn't preclude the opportunity to fantasize about another trade that could shake up the Steelers' offense even more. Anthony Palacios of Last Word on Sports speculates that since the Cleveland Browns drafted talented prospect Harold Fannin and are entering a rebuild, Pro Bowl tight end David Njoku could be available in a trade. Njoku is entering the final year of his current contract, and despite being one of Cleveland's best players in recent years, the Browns could hand the job to the rookie if it helps them usher in a new era with their new quarterback core. The uncertainty at center could also lead the Browns to believe that Njoku would like to leave next offseason, so they could try to get value for him early if possible. Palacios lists the Steelers as a potential trade partner. Last season, tight end Jake Ferguson had one of the worst seasons of his career. He's hopeful for a big turnaround, even if it looks promising after the George Pickens trade, Palacios said. However, anything can happen, and Njoku offers plenty of experience that the Steelers could benefit from. While Njoku certainly provides more experience and athleticism, the Steelers likely aren't interested in shelling out extra draft capital if they can avoid it. And comparing their 2023 seasons, the year both players made the Pro Bowl, Njoku's numbers are only slightly better. The Browns' tight end finished with 81 receptions, 881 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Adding Njoku to that group could result in a crowded situation with guys demanding touches that Steelers would rather avoid under the coach.